there, and welcome to FanCookingTastic. It's Tuesday, and you know what that means.
The list of ingredients you'll need is about 1.5 pounds of ground beef, 1 white onion, soft flour tortillas, 1 package of taco seasoning, salsa of your choice. This is our homemade kind. We'll be using some refried beans. They're yummy. 200 grams of cheese. We'll need a little bit of head lettuce that we'll chop up into fine strips. You'll need a little bit of full-fat sour cream. Hi, and welcome to the show. Today is, in fact, Tuesday. We've taken care of the Bandito who tried to attack the set. And it means we normally do Taco Tuesdays. But instead of doing a taco today, we're going to do a variation of a taco. And that is a taco pie. So that should be pretty darn tasty. So let's get started, because we got to get a few things ready, namely an onion, because it's going to be a layer. It's like a taco, but it's like inside out and upside down. So first off, because I'm cutting an onion, it's time for the onion goggles. And we're only going to use about half the onion, as it's going into the meat. We're going to quickly peel this up. And this is probably how they got right into it. When they first discovered how to make tacos. They just, again, what do we got kicking around? Let's put it in a handy container. Well, like I said, today we are not going to be doing that. We're going to be instead chopping up this onion into some little bits, because it's ultimately going to go in with the meat, which we're going to get cooking pretty soon too. So just chop it up. Sort of chop it up in little pieces here and there. Thank you to my son William, who made his first appearance at the beginning of this show as the saloon drinker. He was hanging out, waiting for high noon. And so we're just going to put these onions. Hopefully they'll all get into the container. Not all of them seem to want to. So we'll have to make sure that they get in there. And then let's go over here. We'll rinse this off first so I can take these fun glasses off. Take off the onion glasses. Put on the good glasses. So now I can really see. And we're pretty much ready for other stuff. We're going to get the meat going. Now, what we're doing here, we use ground beef. We buy ground beef just like anybody usually does in a large package, but it's a large, huge heap of beef. And so what we do is we portion off half of it and put it in a freezer bag and put the other half slightly apart in the freezer bag. So 2 portions to a bag. It's a great way. It's really handy. You just pull out the one portion. You can leave the other piece in the freezer, not have to defrost the entire package. So let's get our pan going here, and we're going to get that meat right in the pan right away, because it's going to need some time to brown up. So we're going to come over here to our handy dandy oven stove cam, and we're going to just plop that meat right in there. Time to get our secret weapon that opened the show, our handy Haha. Our spatula. This one's good because it can chop up the meat really, really well. So we're just gonna start getting it chopped a little bit. And we're just gonna let that sit and cook a bit while we get a few other things ready. First, we're not going to use all of this onion. So we're actually gonna put it away. There we go. Oh, bloody hell. It even doesn't want to be put away. It's trying to escape. I'm gonna toss that in the fridge. Let's see. We're also going to need cheese. And you can use whatever cheese you want to use. But first, I'm also going to get a little lettuce. We're going to get a little lettuce ready. We're all going to use cheese. We're going to let that meat cook. A little bit of head lettuce. And you would just cut this lettuce just as you would have for tacos. Okay, so you just take a hunk, cut a hunk right off. This is going to be more or less a garnish. And let's see. So, well, I went and buggered that up now, didn't I? Oh well, we'll make use of it. Try to make slices out of lettuce and then cut them across so you still somewhat get little strips, I think is what we're trying to achieve here. Maybe we'll do a little bit more, do one more slice. Because in a taco, you'll have lettuce, cheese, sour cream, salsa, and some tomatoes. So today we're also going to do a little bit of fresh chopped tomato. That is something that I don't think made it into our ingredient list. So it's up to you. Not everybody likes a tomato. You can leave it out. Again, this is sort of like an experiment. We get to do whatever we need to do and whatever we find. I think it's one of those dishes where you sort of, I don't know, look around your kitchen, see what you can dig up. We've got some nice tomatoes here. And so maybe, just maybe, I will show a tomato at the ingredient list. Again, you choose, you pick. The object of the tomato, though, you don't want it like large. You don't want large chunks. Remember, think taco when you're making this pie. So you just want to go, right? Go for, you're going to make big fat slices. So you cut it 4 big thick slices. And then sort of like what we've done onions in the past, you're going to cut it across. Yeah, be very careful. You don't want to squish the daylights out of your tomato. Let the knife do the work. Otherwise, you'll have a bunch of death on your board and it won't look very good. So I'm just going to put that in there. The tomatoes and the lettuce will end up being somewhat of a garnish afterwards. You know what? We're gonna try something here. We're gonna turn this up backwards. Well, that cuts better. Cut these little squares off here. Remember, this is going to be, like I said, a garnish on top of the pie when it comes out. There we are. Again, the tomatoes want to try and escape. What is going on here? Okay, so those will be our little garnishes. And I think we're pretty much done with our cutting board. Let's go over here and check our meat because it's starting to brown. I have the burner on. We're using gas stove here, but it's about mid-heat. You do not want to desecrate it. But the real trick with ground beef, because as you can see, it clumps, right? Big balls of it. And so you try to chop across the whole pan, flattens it out. So all I'm doing is I'm taking my handy dandy weapon of choice here today, and I'm chopping, all in a motion till I flattened it all out. And then, if you haven't guessed it, we're going the opposite direction. And you just keep chopping across. And that ultimately starts to turn it into much smaller bits of ground beef. Stirring it around isn't really going to help. And this helps chop it all up. Go across many different angles if you want. Just keep chopping and keep chopping. That makes it smaller and smaller. So then when you toss it around, it's not as clumpy as a steak. And so we're just going to keep cooking this now. And so you try that again, because you turn the meat over. So you just keep chopping. It just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't have any tidbits for you today on the origins of a taco, but maybe somebody can write in and or send me a clip even. I have a challenge. I have a challenge for viewers. Send me a 10 to 20 second clip of a crazy zany clip of you describing the origin of a taco. That's what I would like to see. So if you folks could send something in, and we'll put that in one of the episodes coming in the future, maybe another Taco Tuesday episode. I'd love to know the origins of a taco, but I want to know it in your most craziest 10 to 20 second little video clip. So get creative and send them on in. Now, while we're waiting, we're going to also serve a side of refried beans. Don't know how long they've been refried or how many times they've been refried. However, using some stuff out of a can today, we try to use as much natural stuff as we can, but, short of cooking the beans myself and then refrying them. So we're going to pop these into our frying pan. Oh, but before we do, we're going to add just a little bit of butter to the pan. It helps them not be so sticky to the pan. So just always, oh, geez. Oh, this butter's like an iceberg. What on earth? Oh. There we go. Jeez. That's crazy. Okay. We're going to melt that up. We're going to put our we're going to put our iceberg butter back into the fridge so it can continue to be an iceberg. And we're almost ready. There's a trick too with this meat. Now, we use lean, sometimes extra lean. Rarely do we use medium. It's too fatty. And a lot of this liquid, contrary to what people think, there's a little trick I'm about to show you here to help cook this meat down, is you add, my measuring cup's full, you add a little bit of water. So just grab any arbitrary cup and you cook this until that water is evaporated. It takes a little longer to cook the meat, but the trick is with it, there, about a half cup, it boils away some of the other liquids and you don't have to end up straining it. This works for lean and extra lean only. Medium, you have too much fat kicking around, you're going to have to strain it. Definitely extra lean beef. This is the way to go. All right, so we turn the burner up a little and just let that go. Let that have at it. In the meantime, too, we're going to put, where'd our onions go? Here's our onions. We're going to put our onions in because they need to cook down. Not lots. You don't want an oven-laden thing. This is just for added flavor. We're not making an onion pie. That'll be one episode, I'm sure, where we'll have to wear a hazmat suit just to cut the onions so that we're not crying like babies. Okay. And let that cook. And our butter here is almost melted for our refried beans. I'm going to be cooking them a bit here first. Oh, come on out now. Oh, there we go. Ta-da! Refried. Yeah, that's fantastic. Here, let's have a look at this. Delicious refried beans coming to you in a can shape. Woo, it's almost going to lose it. I don't want to lose it now. Come out of the pan. Okay, enough of that silliness. And in this, we're just going to chop down. So you would chop it down. Oh, inside. What is refried beans? Well, it's more or less simply that. Beans that they've cooked and refried them into a paste. Similar here, I'm just going to chop it up a little bit into the butter. We're just going to warm it a little, let the butter soak in, and not fry it. Like, we don't want to turn these crispy. That would be burnt, and you'll be literally eating it out of the pan like a cowboy around a campfire. So we're just going to keep that on low for a minute, keep our eyes on that, let that cook down. That just has to cook down. Give it a stir once in a while. What you're trying to achieve is you're reducing the moisture, leaving some of the delicious little bits of fat left. Gotta have a little bit in there, right? It's always good. I won't tell anybody if you won't. All right. Another thing we're going to also have, not built into the pie, but as a garnish, is salsa. So this is our last vintage of salsa. We call it dragon salsa. We made this. We grow our own cherry tomatoes, gathered up onions, grow our own chili peppers. Some of them here are in our cantina, if you will, on our cooking surface. And we had various different peppers, so we put in our chili peppers and everything, and we preserved them. This last version was last vintage, shall I say, was 2022. And my gosh, is it ever good and spicy. So we're going to serve some of that with some chips on the side. I might put a little bit in. You know what? Let's do that. We'll just put a spoon here, stir it up, see how, can everybody see how, everybody in the ceiling cam, see how good that is. So we made that, my wife and I made that. We're going to try cherry tomatoes again this year. See if we can make a new batch, because we're almost done with the dragon salsa. It's great if you have a cold, by the way. Keep it around. You might need to dig into it. Okay, how's our meat coming here? Pretty good. We want to get a little more of that liquid. Now, because we're making a taco sauce, first things, when you make tacos, you generally want your meat to be seasoned, but on the dry side. And when you're making this pie, however, you want it on the moist side. You need the liquid. Otherwise, the tortilla shells just go and suck it all up. And that's no good. It'll be too dry. Then you'll have to pour all kinds of salsa on top. So you can see our beans here, refried beans. They just get nice and mushy. Isn't that appetizing? Oh. Okay, that's cooking away. We have our salsa ready, our lettuce is ready. Let's do our sauce. So we were going to cheat today, and making a right wet mess of this counter too, aren't I? A lot of stuff come out of the fridge today. It's a bit of a humid day here. So yes, folks, you saw William at the beginning of the show, and I have to tell you, Taco Tuesday is his favorite meal. And so that's why he got to open the show today. Him and the Bandito Gringo. So this thing is just your 1 cup of water, and you just whisk this in, and then you pour this in all over your meat when it's ready. So I like to whip all this up ahead of time, just so that it's ready. Imagine they put everything in it. They've got some chili. So if you wanted to make this yourself at home, which you could, go to the store, buy your spice packets. What does this have in it? I don't know. I seem to have ripped the... Oh, it's mysterious. Spices and herbs. Well, that's kind of silly. Smells like chili powder. There's a given. Probably some onion powder. Probably some, I don't know, whatever else they'll add in there. So you can always try to make your own if you wish. But there's our liquid. It's ready. And I'll pick this up off the floor so I don't get into trouble for throwing things around. Let's check out our beans here. Okay, so they're starting to stick, so I'm going to turn the heat way down. These refried beans just something that will just sit and sit and sit. Imagine you're at your campfire in the middle of the desert, and it's just sitting there simmering away, ready to be eaten. So you see how that liquid is really reduced now? There's hardly any liquid. There's a bit, but a lot of that is now mostly the fat, and it's taken away the rest. It's boiled it off. So we're going to let that reduce just a little more before we add the taco sauce. And then we're pretty much going to be ready to build this pie. And we're going to build it into a regular pie dish. And it's sort of like a lasagna by the time we're done building it. We've got our pre-made tortillas, perfect for quesadillas, fajitas, and tacos. And I should put on here taco pie. So we'll just open the package. We won't be using all of those, but we're going to be using these. These are fantastic. When I was in Mexico years ago, we saw a lady making these, and it was perfect because you just had a batter, poured it out like a pancake, but it was very flour-based, and so it cooked and poofed up, just like you see here. And they were delicious. Absolutely delicious. All right. Whisk this up. We're going to pour this into our meat now, because we want this to get all flavorful and thick. Just pour it right into your pot, right into your pan here. There we are. This is an easy meal to make, by the way, so you don't have to be scared of it. All this, funny theatrics around it. You can do that if you want to. You could have a gunslinging episode if you really wish. But no, I'm serious. It's pretty simple to make. Just stir this around. We're going to get this a bit thicker. This is pretty watery, okay? But it will thicken as this cooks down a little bit. We want it a little bit thick. As I said, we do want it a little wet as well, so that everything's just downright saucy, like it should be. So we'll just wait for that to cook down a little bit while we putz around here in the kitchen. I don't think there's much else to do. Are we missing anything? Cheese, we're going to get. Tomato, we've cut. Tortilla, beans, lettuce, sour cream. Sour cream's something we're going to put at the end. I think this is the fullest fat sour cream I could find in the store, 14%. Don't go light. It's too runny, unless you have to dietary-wise. I understand. But definitely, sour cream. All right. So that's cooking. This is reducing. Our beans are on the slow cook. Just stir this around a little bit more. Not too much more. You still want it pretty good and liquidy. There we are. Our beans. Beans are probably just going to turn off for now, because we got to bake this thing yet. So I'm going to turn the beans off, fluff this around a little more, let it sort of cook down a bit, and then off it goes, because we're going to begin the building process. We need our cheese to do that. Today I'm going to elect to use, what do we got? We have some marble and cheddar. Let's use marble, because then you can't go wrong. We've got light cheddar and dark cheddar. We're going to use a good hunk of this, so I'm just going to try and pull it out of you try to, oh boy. Well, that doesn't work too well, does it? How about some scissors? Here we are. Because we're going to need quite a good amount of this cheese here. We're going to be grating it in. We're going to break off a block, because we're going to use this gadget. Okay. Grabbing a spoon, letting that do its thing. We're going to stir this around. We're just going to put a little, sort of like a lasagna. you put a little layer of the stuff on the bottom just to coat the bottom. Nothing crazy, just a little layer. And I'm just going to put this back here for a second. And then you put down your first level. And now you're going to use about a quarter. So about a quarter, which would be about a spoonful and a half's worth of this serving spoon. You're just going to round that out over the tortilla. Don't worry that it doesn't maybe fully cover it, although do your best. And if you need to, you can just grab a little bit more to make up the difference. Then we're going to do a cheese layer. This is going to be pretty darn tasty. So cheese layer, just grate it all over the top. You could have your cheese pre-grated if you really wanted to. You can buy it in a bag pre-grated. This way's kind of fun. You play roulette with your fingers on the grating surface, of course. Okay. There we are now. Just a gentle coating. You don't need to like make a mountain of it yet. You're not quite done. You're also going to spoon a little bit of our lovely salsa in there, just hither and whither, here and there. Remember, it's just a little spice kick. And then pick your nice biggest one. The next layer. Oh, there's 2 layers. Give a little squash down. That's going to help too. Okay, there's layer 2. So guess what? Now you go for another quarter of the meat. And what we ought to do too, it just dawned on me, is get our oven up to temp. Let's see, we got 1 layer, 2 layer. Okay, I got a little bit more I can add here. Here we go. You just rotate this around. You're just gently pushing, you're sort of rolling it out. You want it to stay on, of course. Okay. And just repeat. While we're doing that, I'm going to quickly put our oven on to 375. Get that going. What do we do? Cheese. Right. Nice cheese layer on top of this meat, and then salsa on top of the cheese. Don't need to put anything else in. What else could you put in? You wouldn't want to put lettuce in while this bakes. Warm, baked, soggy lettuce. Blech. Not that good. Okay. More cheese. We like cheese. Okay. And then some salsa dips just here and there. Don't want to coat it again. That's for later. This is the stuff that people get to put however much they want on after. Okay, so good enough. And again, go hunting through the pile. They're not all the same. So we go hunting. There we go. There's one. Oh, it's a little small. That's okay. Squish, 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 squish. And we go for the third. This is going to be a mammoth one. I was going to say monstrous. Mammoth. Same deal. But we're going to try and get another level out of this, I think. So all it is just a layered taco pie. But when it bakes, oh boy, the kitchen smells fantastic. Drives everyone in the house absolutely bonkers. And there's that. And we do even more cheese. I think we're going to run out. I think we're going to have some more blocks of cheese because you want to then top it off with an incredible amount of cheese for your last layer. Okay. This is the boring stuff, so we'll probably just fast forward through that. See if we can go El Rapido. I'm getting very close to my fingers here. Whew, that's probably good enough. And a little bit of salsa. When you have a normal taco, you pour in as much of this stuff as you want, right? It's good cheese. And now, for the last lid. Last lid, squish it down. Squishy, 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 squish, squish, squish. Because whatever's left in our pan over here, go in on top. get as much of it out. I always remember my grandmother said to me, always get as much as you can out of the pot, out of the pan, bowl, whatever it is you're working with. And then you won't waste anything. So I still do to this day. Okay. Squish, 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 squish. This one you want to squish a little harder because you're not going to be able to press the top of it. You've got so much stuff on top now. So you squish it with your hand. You can't do that. You'll burn it. So you got to squish it with your spoon here. Squish, squish, squish. There we go. Now that's nicely covered. Now we're starting to get a little thin here. So there, that's done. And we are going to change it up a little bit this time. We're going to put the salsa first because we're going to end with a layer of cheese, big layer of cheese, to which I need this. There we go. Cheese it up. We're not going to put another layer on top because that'll get dry. Okay, you've got to always have a liquid. So this is where we mountain the cheese on top. Cover it up real good. A little hard to get the edges and not have it shoot out over the counter, but that's okay. There we go. Making a pizza is the same way, you know. It's real fun. Get all this cheese. And if you can't have cheese, maybe you've got an alternative. Maybe there's something else you can try that would work. Some people aren't able to have cheese, so, and then those that can't usually throw it all away and go, forget it, we'll just have it anyway. Okay, we're almost there. This is going to bake. We should probably put it on a cookie sheet to be safe. Get it all the way to the edge, okay? You don't want to leave the edges exposed. So if you need to, take what you've done, push it all to the edge, and then finish up the middle. There we are. Okay. There, now we'll go back over the bits that we just disturbed. And get it all coated. There, that's going to melt quite nicely before I hack all my fingers off. There we go. Now that is ready for the oven, which is almost up to temperature. So we're just going to do a quick cleanup of stuff. And then we'll put this beautiful beastie in the oven. We'll be baking it for about half an hour. So I'm not going to stand here, of course, and we're going to use the magic of the television. I'm just going to get a cooking sheet here. There we go. Okay. Hopefully we won't get arrested by any gringos or banditos in the meantime. There. That's ready. The oven is just about come up to temperature, so you can go ahead and put it in. And we're going to be cooking it for, as I said, we're going to cook it for about 30 minutes and then give it a check. So it's in the oven, as you can see. Ta-da! Oh, I guess you need some lighting effects. There we go. Ta-da! There. Let's get our silly recycling bag out of the way. There. Ta-da! In the oven. Okay. So it's in. We're going to set a timer for 30. And we'll be back in a heartbeat. Camera time, but show time about 30 minutes. I've been doing a little bit of reading while this taco pie has been baking, and I decided to satisfy my own curiosity as to the origin of taco. And it's been found that it has been an ancient Mexican dish with flour tortillas and things like fish and organs and things that they would have put in there as a basic meal of sustenance. However, it changed just like other foods have changed when they hit North America. First of all, the word taco is extremely new, but the food itself, the food wrapped in a tortilla shell, came in the early 1900s when migrant workers came to North America, particularly the United States, brought their foods with them. And in and around the 20s, at that time, this wonderful food had morphed, had changed, and absorbed some of the American food culture and shifted from the basic fish and other fillings to things like cheese and lettuce and the things we put in it today. The interesting part about it is taco wasn't even known as a taco for food's sake until around 1925. Prior to that, the word taco was applicable to the packet that miners would put gunpowder into and insert into the rocks as dynamite to blow apart the rocks. So we've gone from explosive to explosive food, depending on how much salsa you put in it. Well, we're checking everything out. It's almost ready to bring out of the oven. We've got our sour cream at the ready, our salsa, our lettuce, and our tomato. Anyway, we're ready there. We're ready here. And we're just waiting for the oven to finish, which will be about 30 seconds. That beautiful hot taco. Oh, we better get some gloves. Because if we don't have oven gloves, whew, man, we'll burn ourselves to death. Now, here we go. This thing's going to be El Hato. I can hear it now. Anyone Spanish, Mexican, they're going to be sending me notes and telling me off. Oh, we better get something to serve it with. Here we go. And possibly a knife. Oh, there. The oven's ready. So out she comes. We better turn that off. Turn the oven off because I believe it's ready. We've checked it quick. It's bubbling nicely. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Oh, yes, sir. There is your taco pie. That is something. Well, we'll get ready to pop it over here. We'll turn off the oven. Oven's off. Let it cool a little bit. You don't want to cut into it right away. But we're going to bring this carefully, not spill it on the floor. Of course, put it over here. Oh, listen to that. Wow. That's bubbling away like crazy. Excellent. Good. We're going to keep a glove on. And we're going to be serving this up pretty darn soon. But you got to let it cool a little bit. Right now, remember, everything is super hot. Cheese is runny, oozy. The sauce is all over the place. We're just going to let this sit a moment. And I've even got the door open here to help it cool it off. Whew. Get a little bit of cool air in here. That oven's been running, so it's good and hot. You can see how the bubbles are slowing down now. And there is your taco pie, folks. So we're going to just let that do its thing a little bit here. And then we're going to serve this up just in a moment. Okay, I think we're finally ready to dig into this. The bubbling has stopped. And let's see how it is. I don't trust this thing. Maybe it's going to attack me one day in a future episode. It has a nice serrated edge, but it doesn't quite cut in nicely into the pie. So I always start with a knife. And I actually cut it literally like a pie. Oh, this is fantastic. This is juicy. And just so good. Nothing's hard and crispy about it. You know what would be an interesting experiment? I challenge you, another challenge of the episode. Maybe you also want to work with this and try crushed hard tortillas, like nachos, like a nacho dish. That might work out pretty nicely too. So we're going to try carving this up. We'll put that on that knife. We'll put this on here. Oh, I better move this over. This could be a bit of a messy affair. And you know what? If it all falls apart, Oh, it's not gonna, but I was gonna say if it did, doesn't matter. It's all going into your tummy anyway, right? There you go. Look at that. Just put that over there. Shovel this over here. Put this here. Isn't that a lovely, lovely pie? And to finish it off, just put some dollops, a little sour cream, with a little bit of lettuce, and a little spoonful of fresh tomato. There you go. And top it off with a little bit of that magical salsa. There you have a beautiful taco pie, ready for the family to devour before your very eyes. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and keep FanCookingTastic. Remember, have fun. Let me know how your recipe turns out. Like and subscribe. That really helps out the channel. And enjoy.
Hey, Crazy Chef Senior seems to have forgotten something. We better go let him know.
I forgot the refried beans. Never forget something on the stove. All right, so we'll go back to our heating this up here. And we're going to just serve that up on the side. There we go. And then I'm going to take some too. I just realized that we didn't serve all that. Maybe we'll serve some chips with it. I'm not sure. Well, there we go. Now, enjoy the Mexican meal. There we are. Taco pie, refried beans. Lovely, easy Mexican meal. Enjoy! For more FanCookingTastic episodes, click these links that seem to be filling up my kitchen. And please like, comment, and subscribe.